Hello, I'm going to give you a quick lowdown on how I have started making the roses out of newspapers. So bear with me, I'm doing this on the floor, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to start with half of a sheet of paper. Actually, this one has color on it, so I'm going to skip it. And I'm going to pick out one that I didn't totally butcher. Okay, so I'm going to start with this half of a sheet of paper. All I did was I opened up a newspaper and I tore it in half, and then I have just the quarter piece here. I'm going to take this quarter of a sheet of newspaper and I'm going to then fold it into quarters. So once and twice. Okay, so I've got 4 sheets here, and here on the corner is my point, which I'm going to actually then fold over on the diagonal. At this point, I'm just making it square. Take this off. And I'm going to cut across all this excess to basically make it into a square. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it over one more time. And then I'm going to take this corner and make it one more. Now I've got this really tight triangle, and I'm going to cut a petal shape out of it. Well, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I want all of those sheets to be loose. Cut it like this. And now when I open it up, I'm going to have 4 individual sheets. This one didn't cut all the way through. No problem. This happens to me periodically because my sheets are not absolutely perfectly cut. I'm going to just shape that petal just a little bit, so it looks more like a petal shape instead of a corner. All right, okay, now I've got 4 sheets. And I would do that twice, okay? So this is one set. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm grabbing a sheet that's black and white. I'm going to fold it in half. Fold it one more time. Now this time my sheet's not ripped quite perfect, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off some excess right off the bat. What I'm finding is that these do not need to be perfect because they are flowers. We just want them to look pretty nice. So here's my corner. Here's my four sheets. Here's the corner I want to use. I'm going to make that a diagonal. I'm going to cut off the excess again to make a square. I'm going to take the corner, fold it over, and I'm going to do it one more time. Now I've got my tight little triangle. I'm going to cut my petal shape again, close to the edge and down. Once I open it, again, I should end up with 4 sheets. And now I have a total of 8. That's all I need to make a flower. So basically I'm using half of a sheet of newspaper for each flower. Now this is a little different than the other video showing the tissue flowers because I realized a couple of years ago I made roses out of paper, and what I did just to make it easier to layer is I actually cut off some of the petals. So what I'm going to do on my very first sheet, I'm going to cut off one petal section. I'm going to take a tiny dab of glue, and I'm going to bend this and glue them together. On my next sheet, I'm going to cut off 2 petals. I'm going to take a little dab of glue and rotate those to match. On my next sheet, I've already done 2 petals, so now I'm going to do 3. So here's my third. I'm going to do a little dab of glue on the one side. And I'm going to bring it over. So at this point, we have one layer that is six, basically has 6 petals, one layer that has 5, one layer that has 4. Now I'm going to take this one, I'm going to give it a little dab of glue. This is the other half of the one where I cut off the 3. That's going to give me 3 petals, or I'm sorry, 2 petals once it's attached. So I've done 6, 5, 4, and now we have 2. I cut off 1 petal, 2 petals, and then 3 petals. The next one I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off 4 petals. So I'm going to basically cut this in half. And I'm going to use both of these. That's 1, 2. Okay, so I have 2 of these 3 petal sizes. I've cut off 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at this point, I'm going to use one whole one, and that will be my very bottom layer. And we were going to stack it is it's basically going to look like this. You're going to take the one that has the 6 petals, and the one that has 5, and the one that has, I'm sorry, the one that has, 8 petals, the one that has 6, 5, 4, and then I'm going to use 2 of these 3 ones because I get 2 cuts of it every time I do a 4, and I'm going to put a 2 in the middle. That's basically how the rose is going to build. So I'm going to take my skewer, and I'm going to start with just a layer of glue here, just on the very pokey end, because we don't want anyone to have to actually touch the pokey end, so the pokey end is going to be on the inside of the flower. I'm going to start with that very first one. It's only got 2 petals, and actually I'm going to feed it in from the other end. I'm actually going to feed it in from the dull end, and I'm going to push it up. And once I get towards that glue point, I'm going to squish it, and I'm just going to make sure that that glue is attaching to the paper. And I'm going to give it a little twist. Just make sure that that glue has attached. I need to add a little bit of glue on the inside because the poke is actually still showing. So I'm going to just tighten that up around there. Basically, I'm using this first layer just to cover the pokey part of the skewer. Okay, now I've got 2 of these that have 3 petals. I'm going to add glue to the bottom of my flower. As you can see, it's not super pretty at this point. I'm going to poke the dull end through my layer and push it up and give it a little squeeze and a little bit of a twist just to get that sealed on there. Okay, same thing with the next one. Okay, I'm going to just kind of make it so that it's not identical in location to the first one. I'm going to just twist that over. Give it a little bit of dimension there. Okay, again, I'm just going to squeeze that on. Okay, next layer, we're building. So now we're going to go to the one that has 4. And you can see that it's starting to get something of a little bit of dimension there. Squeezing it on. I'm going to next add a little more glue. Okay, this is my 5. I have enough glue on here, I think, where I can get away with doing my 6 petal. But now at this point, I'm going to give it a little bit of a squeeze. I'm just going to work it around a little bit here. And I'm going to shape it just a tiny bit. Okay, I'm going to add another layer of glue. This will be the final layer. I'm going to poke that last layer on, which is going to just be kind of a nice wide layer, like an open rose. I'm going to pinch the bottom. All I'm doing here at the bottom here is just making sure that the newspaper will stay secured. So I'm just going to give it like a little bit of a pinch and a twist as well, just to hold it in there. I'm using tacky glue, which is kind of my go-to. It's also what I had sitting by me when I started playing around with these. I haven't tried Elmer's glue yet. Tacky glue seems to be doing a really good job on the skewer, since it's okay to use with wood. I imagine Elmer's glue would be fine too. And this is my flower. So once this dries, it'll be actually quite secure. I haven't had any problems with them coming undone after being all pushed together. All I'm doing is just kind of snugging that in there and twisting it. So that is one. I have 3 parts left. So actually I'm using just over a 1/4 page of newspaper. If you want to make it more full or add more layers, you know, you could always put an extra layer on the bottom or in the middle somewhere if you wanted. Depends how much time and effort you want to put into it or how full you want to make it. I'm going to add one more here in the bottom just to show you that it does add a little bit more dimension. There you go. So I'm pushing up one more. You know, it might not be a bad idea for me to try to do, you know, one more somewhere in here. If time allows, we could use a whole half a sheet of newspaper, but that's it. So hopefully you can see that, and I will send this video off and hopefully it's helpful.